Okay, so I've had a couple of people reach out and ask about how I made the flag, with the brass, with the casings in them. So I'm going to do a quick tutorial. This is actually a pretty easy one to do. This one I still need to get, I'm waiting for some new cork because all the cork I have is too big. So, and these are really thick. This mold was new to me. I thought, well, I kind of needed to make it thick because of how I did the flags and stuff. So I'm going to try to see if I can do them a little bit thinner on this one just because they're so thick. But that's just me, and they actually might, be kind of cool. I've also made this other kind with a UV DTF sticker. I had it on a heat mat. So if you do heat mat and it's a cheap UV DTF, they actually tend to kind of buckle, or whatever you call this, wrinkle. They wrinkle a little bit, but you can't tell on the front. So anyway, but the reason I was going to show you this one is because this is a thinner coaster, but I used the smallest casings that I have, which were the 223s, and I still had to put top coats over it to get it to cover over the casings. So I suggest a deeper mold if you have it. So this shouldn't be a very long video. It's fairly easy. I've mixed up 16 ounces of resin. I use Let's Resin epoxy resin, casting resin. For this I do. Depends on which I use. I tend to use all Let's Resin, but depends on the project on which one I use. I have my casings over here ready. I have my flags over here. They came on with the little sticks that you put them in your yards. In your yard, and I cut them off, and then I try to make sure that I had a nice clean edge because they kind of get frayed if you're not careful. So I would probably wait to the last minute for that part. So this should be hopefully fairly simple. I also have a bunch of molds off to the right, just in case I have extra, because I have no idea, because I'm guessing on this, even though I've made some. I did this one with the black. I don't know why I decided I was going to do a black on the background, which actually I didn't even get it black, but I wanted black for it to kind of stand out, but it actually made it really dark looking. So I'm going to make these clear and not put the black on it. I think it makes more sense, but we will see. We'll figure out which ones are better. So, okay, I'm going to pour some in here in each of them. I'm not going to fill them up. I'm just going to put maybe about half, maybe not even half. About a third, we'll say a third. Because we want some on the bottom. And then we're going to need to, and I measured the weight on one of these once it was done, because I did it in stages. I wasn't sure how much I'd put in them. And I measured, of course I have a couple of top coats on it, but I measured 7.5 ounces for that coaster. So it's a big coaster. Okay, so we're going to start with that. I'm actually going to need this, and I'll show you the most time-consuming part of this. So first, I'm going to put the flags in here. So we are going to, hopefully you can see me. Let me use this one. We're just going to dip this in here. We're going to get it all coated with resin. And I actually debubbled it, and I'm not being very careful when I threw that in there and threw a bunch of bubbles in there. So I need to be a little bit more careful. And these, I'm doing them face up. I'm not doing them face down. And it looks like I got a piece of the flag in that resin, so I gotta be careful. This is all I did, was just kind of make them pretty in the resin. I did have some that I would go back and like poke on edges all through the whole process, like, if it sticks up, we want it to go in. And we just gotta make it kind of look pretty. And the next one, I'm gonna do 4 on this one. And I need to be careful about bubbles. Also have something in here. Where'd it go? I'll have to get it in a minute, hopefully. I can get it, and hopefully I didn't pour too much in there, because I still have to fill up the casings. You don't want to put the casings in there without filling them up because you will get bubbles from the hole. So my first set I actually filled up the casings and let them dry with epoxy. So I have a bunch on hand that I can use, but I see a bubble there. You can see through the flag for bubbles and stuff. I'm going to try to get all the bubbles out. If you can, make it as pretty as you can make it. I still got to put casings on it. Anyway, you got to fill them up. What was I saying? Let me get this out. It's got pieces of the flag on there. I don't know if you can see that. So I filled up the first ones. And then I realized I really didn't need to let them dry. I can just fill it up as I go. But it is kind of a pain in the butt to do that. Got lots of little pieces of flag floating in here. I hope it's not going to affect it too much. I pushed them to the side. This resin takes the normal time to cure. Like 24 hours is when I feel comfortable with it. You can touch it in probably maybe 6 or 8 or something like that, but so that's when you push it within the first couple of hours. I have a big old bubble there. I don't know if you can see that. Yep, pop. So I've been doing resin now for a little over a year. I started with tumblers and made the jump into resin art and kind of got addicted. I didn't know I needed this creative outlet, but I did. There's that thing. Get another paper towel. So I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. So I'm videotaping, not as an expert. I'm videotaping just to show you what I'm learning as I go. I'm actually also part of it. It's just for me. This is messy. To document and so I can remember how I did things. So that's why I'm doing this. I know, I'm a hot mess. I'm a hot mess. I make a mess. I leave messes. But I do clean them up. I kind of like these edges curled under. And I see all these bubbles pop. Come on, go. There you go. Okay, one more. And I'll push it down with my stick in just a minute. Anyway, so I'm still fairly new. Tend to watch a lot of YouTube videos, to learn as much as I can, and I keep wanting to try it all. I have not settled in a lane yet of my favorite thing to do. I like all parts of it. I like doing the jewelry. I like doing the art. I like doing all the molds. Well, I say art, not canvas. I haven't made that jump. I like all the molds. I used to work in photo labs, so I have a good color theory background. So I think that's part of it. Also, because I worked in photo labs and chemistry, I think that part gets satisfied as well. And I miss working in dark rooms. Okay, I think we're in a good spot here. Okay, so next step, the boring step. I say boring. Let's see. All right, we have another. See, it's the edges of where you cut it off. These little strings come off, so be careful of those. Okay. Want that tucked down under all the bubbles to come out of the, you can see them in the wrinkles. I made, actually it was these. I made some of these. I made a few the other day. And when it was dry, I ended up having 2 bubbles where the flag was folded. Deep. They were deep, deep, deep holes. So I had to do some repair on that to fill it in, and I put tape on it and I let it dry and saved them. They weren't bad, they just had deep holes that I had to fix. Another part of resin I like is the troubleshooting. Because boy, do we have to deal with a lot of stuff that we have to figure out on the fly. This one I don't like. Hold on. Trying to get it to fold under on all corners there. Okay. Nope. You know, and I don't even think I have another pair of gloves in here to switch to. Let me get the casings in. Okay, and then I can kind of fiddle with it. So, next step, you have to fill them up. I had a pipette. I think this is what you call it, not a pipette. I think it's a pipette that I used to fill them up when I was letting it harden. But that takes a long time too. So I learned you can just fill them up this way. I will fast forward you through this part though. You don't need to sit there and be bored with all this, or you can fast forward yourself, but I'll fast forward this part. I'm just going to the top. I'll put a couple down for you just so I can show you what I'm doing. To me, 4 looks good of the big, what are these, 308? Yep, 308. 4 usually looks good on the, in my opinion. You might want more, you might want less. But I've got to make it through all these. So that's how you do those. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to get them all filled up, and then I will see you after I've got all this filled up. Okay, now that I've made a complete mess, I don't know, I might try to clean this up when I'm done. I still gotta, I don't know, it's just bugging me. So just really quickly getting some of it up. And I decided to use less of the casings than I have on some of the other ones I've done. Okay, so now I am going to at least cover the bullets, the casings. I don't know if I can say those anymore. Hopefully I have enough to cover all of them. I was worried about having too much because I was kind of guessing. I actually wish I had a couple more ounces, but I can always do another coat to fill them up. The big thing is getting the flag in there and the casings. Okay. Now I got to make sure everything's tucked down. And I'm going to pause you right here because I'm going to go get some new gloves. Okay, I had to get some new gloves. I didn't have any out. Thought I had some out. So I'm just going to kind of poke this down, and I might be having to do this all night. Not all night, but for a couple of hours. I don't know. It depends on how good I get it in there. And you never know what resin decides to do. Never leave anything thinking you got it. Because as soon as you turn your back, it decides to do something you weren't expecting it to do. So that's my one word of advice. Check on it. Always check on it. Don't assume. Because it's got a mind of its own. which is good and frustrating. But it creates some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. So you never know. Sometimes they're happy accidents, sometimes they're planned and you're able to get it to do exactly what you want. I have a bubble kind of in the middle, and so it's pushing these. Oh, I like that. I don't like that. See the bubbles that keep popping up? Because when it catches the air, it gets a bubble in it. Okay. I see bubbles. I'm going to pop the bubbles. I am going to use alcohol. I spray with alcohol only when it's not a top coat. I don't like a top coat because I see dimples sometimes and I don't like the dimples. So there it goes. Getting those bubbles. Cool. So I'm going to pop the bubbles, and then I'm going to I'm just going to keep checking it all night, or not all night. It'll get to a point where I don't have to check all night. Alcohol. Didn't have to worry about extras. All my molds are for nothing over here, so I might need to mix them up. In a few minutes, I'm going to let this alcohol kind of evaporate, and then I'm going to pop it with a lighter. Don't use a torch on your molds, this type of mold, because you will fuse the resin to the mold. Ask me how I know that. Anyway, and I'm going to clean this up because I can't, my OCD is going to freak out. So I'm going to fix that. So I will see you guys in a little bit. All right, so I had it on a heat mat, which I can pick up and move right now. So that sped up the curing process, so I can actually get to this last step. Well, I can't say last step because I'm gonna have to top coat them. So anyway, I think I got everything pushed down. I can see a little bit, but they all look under the lip, so I just got to go as thick as I didn't want to, but that's just how it is. So I'm just going to fill these up. I debated on actually needing to videotape this, but doing the whole process. So I have it. Pretty, I can already tell with not having that black, these are going to be so much brighter and lighter, and I don't know what possessed me to do the ones with the black. But anyway, these are going to be gorgeous, I think. So I will see you on the next step, which should be demold. Everything's covered. All the flag is covered. All the casings are covered. So we should be good. We are back, and it's time for unmold. I actually demold. Didn't realize how much overspill I had last night. So that's not good. These scissors, these Cricut scissors come in handy. You can do this while it's still not relatively fresh. And I'll be able to sand that off. Hopefully that's the only one that has overspill. Yay! I have a bubble. So I'll sand this and I'll do a top coat on them. And I've already done a video on top coating. I have some couple little bitty bubbles. But this looks so much lighter than this one. Has black on the back. That is the only difference between the two. So you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like with and without. I still got I'll put cork on it, so it's going to darken it just enough to, where's my cork? I have these self-adhesive cork pieces that fit. These ones don't fit. I'm actually getting, these are like 4 inch, and I'm getting some 3 inch. anyway, but that's what it'll look like with that on the back of it. So much brighter. So good to know. Lesson learned. So I will put top coat on these, sand off the edges, get everything all nice and clean. These will be done. Okay, I decided it wasn't right. I had made a video on how to do this step that I was going to post at the end of this, but I decided it wasn't right to not show you the full completed pieces when I'm done. So I'm just going through every step. So I have demolded, I have sanded everything down, and it's a little bit splotchy. I could probably have done a better job. Hopefully it'll still stick to that part. And then I've added glue, Elmer's glue, PVA glue, which I don't have in front of me right now, but just regular white Elmer's glue that I put on the back so that it'll catch any spills. So we are ready to do this. This is always one of my favorite parts. I am using Let's Resin tabletop epoxy for this. So it is thicker. I personally like to warm it up while I'm mixing. I have a cup that I have a bigger cup that I dip my small cup into the bottom of it, and I let it kind of heat up, and I do 3 stages of kind of heating it up so it'll thin it out a little bit. That's just my personal preference. And my bracelet was in the way last time, so we're going to take this off really quick. Okay. So we are just going to pour over and then get the sides. Like I said, this is always one of my favorite. I like seeing it emerge. It's always cool. I want to make it pour enough that, and I fold my edges so it'll catch any drips and everything. But I pour enough so that it'll go over the sides, and then I'll go through. It's always hard to do this with one in front of it though. And run my finger along the side because I tend to miss, if I don't do this, I tend to miss little spots. So I try to be really careful and get all the spots. And I'll probably go over these one more time because I really want these to be perfect. I've also put, this is such a messy process. This part is such, you get resin everywhere. I have 2 sets of gloves on, so I can just peel one off. Just because it makes it a little bit easier. And these will be hopefully cured within it. This tends to cure a little bit faster. I don't know what the actual curing time on tabletop is. I've just been using it, and then I stick it in my curing machine, my Resiner's curing machine, and usually it's good to go. I'm going over this one more time. It's already made it all the way around. Just trying to make sure I don't have any little bare spots, because otherwise you will have a single sanded part sticking out at the end if you didn't get it. So I'm trying to make sure I get all of it. And these ones without the black on the background are so much brighter. But I actually kind of like the black ones too, so it depends on how you want to do it. Making sure you can see. And there are bubbles, but it'll be so thin that I'll be able to pop it with the lighter. So I'm going to fast forward through this because you don't need to hear me talking and jabbering while I'm doing this. And trying to think if I'm forgetting anything or not. I will add that in if I need to. So I will speed this up for you guys. Okay. think we're good now. I have just a little bit left over. I'm trying to save some for this other piece that I need to top coat. I'm just going to go over them. And yes, you saw me drop one because I'm good at that kind of stuff. Hopefully I have enough for this other one. Okay, so now I'm going to let me take off this glove. Take off this glove, and what I'm going to do is top coats. I do not use alcohol on the top coat because I've seen dimples pop up, and I don't like the dimples. So I'm not in a mold. I'm going to pop it with my little torch, and I will set my alarm for 15 minutes, and I will come back and pop them again. I'll probably do that 2 more times. And then I will show you, you can kind of see them, but at the very end I will hold them up for you so that you can see how they ended up turning out. Okay, I'll see you on the next step. Okay, these came out, these are done. I left one so I can just show you how to peel off the glue. All the other ones I've already done. You don't need to watch me do all of them. So you peel off the glue. It peels off the little beads of resin that fell over the sides. And then sometimes one will, this one's not too bad, but sometimes you have to kind of put something under it to kind of catch it. Sometimes they're stuck a little bit more, but they always come off. I've never had any trouble with them not coming off. So that's the finished piece. I will put cork on them. I put cork on the back of this one. I cut it down and you can see the rough edges and I don't like it, so I ordered a smaller size so that it'll look a little bit more professional, more polished. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, just reach out.